Hello, I'm Lord Jimsicle and you're watching You Have Issues, a programme all about comics. We were contacted recently to be part of the comics section of a video website that consists of reviews of all sorts of geeky genres. So, here's our first episode for the website multimediamouth.com. Anyway, glad to be part of the team. Thanks a lot, guys. Today we're trying out a new format for the show in which we review some of the comic-related works in animation and film. Right, kicking off this new format, I decided to review a recent release. So I present to you Superman vs. the Elite. Superman vs. the Elite is the 14th film in the DC Universe original animated movie series as an adaptation of the story What's So Funny About Truth, Justice and the American Way that was published in Action Comics issue 775 back in 2001. This was written as a response to Wildstorm's superhero team The Authority, who defeat and kill villains without hesitation, which was a hugely popular trend at the time. Just a small disclaimer, this review is going to contain spoilers, so if you haven't watched the film yet, I'd recommend you do so now before coming back and watching it. However, if you've seen the film already and spoilers don't bother you, then please stick around. So without further ado, let's have a look. The film starts off with a montage of disasters and news reports being watched by a mysterious figure who then decides to get involved. We then get an opening credits sequence, which is a montage of various Superman animated works done in a visual style of Sex Pistols' Nevermind the Bollocks. As with many Superman stories, this one opens up with a mini disaster happening in Metropolis. Said disaster is a rampage by Atomic Skull, who is disintegrating people at will and justifying it as their lawyers, which means they're evil. He only does this so he can lure out Superman, the bastard. This leads to an epic battle between him and Superman, which of course ends with Superman packing him up for the cops to take away. We then cut to a lecture hall where a debate is being held over whether Superman's compassion or refusal to use lethal force is effective enough and whether it's relevant in the 21st century. Superman then gives a very inspiring speech on why he does what he does.
The grace of mankind is everywhere. You just have to open your eyes. Humanity has a limitless potential for good. My purpose is to help people reach that potential.
Tamarev is under attack!
Except, of course, this is interrupted by a sudden attack on fictional eastern nation Bialia, which Superman responds to. Superman struggles with the creatures before he's guided by the mysterious group that we saw earlier. After the threat is over, they introduce themselves as the Elite, a group of anti-heroes led by telepathically powered Manchester Black, who has an accent that slips so much I'm pretty sure his larynx is coated in grease.
Shut your gob!
Meanwhile, back at the Daily Planet, Clark manages to give the lowdown on this new supergroup.
Telekinetic. Conjured a dragon out of thin air. Outstanding, Kent. Been on the phone with your super source?
Tweeting, actually, sir.
Oh yeah, I forgot Superman's on Twitter. Let's see what inspirational stuff he's been saying. Every day, nobody sees through my crappy disguise. I judge humanity just that little bit more. Dick. Superman then takes a trip to the set of Coronation Street to find out what he can about Manchester Black, only to be snuck upon by Black himself. Black introduces Superman to the rest of his team, who consists of a perpetually drunk guy named Hat, who conjures up weaponized magic from, a hat. Flirty whorebag Menagerie,
but you can call me Pam.
Noted, who controls small creatures that she uses in battle, and Coldcast, who has mastered electromagnetism. Black then decides to give Superman a lowdown on his origin.
Some of us had it rough in the origin department.
Black grew up in an abusive household with a drunken, careless father and discovered his dormant powers as he grew older and was taken in by MI5 and trained to become a government agent, but went freelance eventually. Supes and the Elite then nip down the road to thwart a terrorist attack and pulls off a very impressive rescue showcasing the powers of each hero. The only thing that ruins this scene is this.
Not bad for a guy who just kicks the snot out of wankers.
Superman just said wankers! Superman just said wankers! After the rescue, Black interrogates the perpetrators while showcasing a bit of excessive force, revealing that this new super team aren't as clean-cut as Superman hoped.
Pakalistani tweets about England's support of Bialia.
You're killing her! Stop!
You know, you don't sound any more intimidating when you use the word tweet when you're threatening someone. After Superman lectures them on their methods, they all split up whilst the authorities clean up the mess. Meanwhile, back in Metropolis, Lois discusses her findings about the group with Clark.
I checked in with some friends at the London Mirror while you were making kissy faces with Lady Furby. They couldn't confirm any of Black's story.
The London Mirror. Oh, couldn't the production team do a bit better research about it? I mean, no, it's not the name, really. It's just the implication that the papers in this country actually practice journalism.
Just don't ask.
Well, the malevolent suspicions of the group are further confirmed with a chilling message broadcast worldwide by Manchester Black.
There are the good guys, namely us, and the bad guys, namely anyone who treats anyone else like trash to further their petty aims. We turn bad guys into memories. So mind your manners, lads and lasses, or we'll blow your house down. We're the elite. You asked for us, world. Now you got us.
Oh, but despite this, the public seems to have embraced the elite.
Lois, get your coat.
You've pulled. Superman and Lois then head to the Fortress of Solitude to try and track down where the message was broadcast. They use the Fortress technology with the help of Superman's robots and a bit of help from Lois.
I think my phone has an app for that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there very much is a Find a Supervillain app for the f***ing iPhone.
Are you here to tell me differently?
They discover that the internet is enamoured with the elite and their brand of brutal justice, which leads to Superman wondering if the world has moved on from his more humane and traditional kind. Superman then heads to the source of the broadcast signal in Bialya, which is currently under attack from Pekolistan. Superman gets knocked down by an energy blast and almost killed by a bunch of Pekolistani soldiers before the elite show up to rescue him and bring him back to their headquarters. Superman uses this opportunity to lecture Manchester Black about killing the soldiers that were invading Bialya, but of course Black just gloats and boasts about how the public backed their methods while teleporting Superman away from him mid-sentence. Back on Kent Farm in Smallville, Clark discusses his worries with his father that Superman is not relevant anymore, only to be interrupted by Lois, who frantically reports that the Atomic Skull has escaped incarceration and gone on a murdering spree. The elite show up and decide to
Show Big Blue how it's done on his home turf.
but instead, they just get their asses handed to them in short order until Superman lends a helping hand. Is it just me, or did that sound like a drum pattern? As the fight goes on, it's clear that the Atomic Skull has taken several levels in badass and is easily holding his own against the Elite and Superman. But the fight draws to a close when Coldcast sneaks up on Skull to absorb his energy and deflate the murderous bugger. Black is about to execute him, but of course is challenged by Superman. Black's response is,
Back to jail? Are you daft? This is what happens. More pain, more suffering.
Unfortunately, the crowd is in support of the Elite and goad Black into the execution. Superman tries to stop him, but is unable to, and thus Atomic Skull is killed. Manchester Black's execution of Atomic Skull was a hit, as shown by a montage of talking heads voicing their support of the Elite's methods and regarding Superman as a thing of the past. Back at the fortress, Superman is in contemplation mode until he gets a visit from the Elite, who teleport into the fortress, just in time for Superman to give them an ultimatum. Black then, of course, just disregards this and just mocks Superman, saying that he's nothing more than a cliché. After teleporting out of there, we then discover that Pekolistan is continuing an invasion of Bialya, but Superman thwarts the invasion in such an awe-inspiring way.
It ends today. Ends without a single loss of life.
After watching that scene, I'm still baffled at why so many people diss Superman. After Superman stops the invasion, the Elite show up yet again and reveal that they've killed the leaders of Pekolistan and Bialya because the war would just escalate. After receiving a love tap from Superman, Black then says the world would turn against him if he were to declare war on the Elite.
Black can punch a hole through a mountain by thinking. The Hat tosses around demons like trained birds, and Pam...
They have to be stopped.
I think they can beat you.
Well, it won't be an anniversary present for you this year. Lois then wakes up to find Clark gone, and he's left a note for her, which is not yet revealed. Superman then decides to take the fight to the Elite, but requests that it's done off-planet. They oblige, and then listen to Superman's final plea for them to stand down. Black then, of course, delivers the incredibly intelligent response of,
You're an inconceivable wanker.
We then see a fantastic fight sequence intercut with Manchester Black announcing his new regime of justice to the people of Earth until he gives Superman a psychic seizure and warns the rest of the superhero community not to avenge Superman. After what is a dramatic conclusion to the battle ending in Superman's apparent death, Black then ruins the moment by picking up a remnant of Superman's cape and hangs a great big bloody lampshade on it.
How is it that no matter how badly you massacre one of these thong and blanket types, some shred of their unmentionables still survives the blast?
Lois is left tearful at the end of the battle, but it didn't end as we all thought it did.
I, for one, should like to scrub my...
I finally get it. Thank you. I made the mistake of treating you people like people.
No sonar. Can't smell him either. Just scorched air.
But now, I understand better. I understand now what the world wants.
Ow! Something bit me!
It turns out that Superman's been given something of a wake-up call and decides to give their way a go. Sounds like a good idea, right?
The world needs people in charge who are willing to put the animals down.
Is that Superman?
Not anymore.
The elite, now worried, are figuring out what to do. The Hat remembers that Superman is vulnerable to magic and tries out...
Here's a little ancient Chinese secret.
Choking's been around since humanity began. Why are the Chinese taking credit for it? After Hat is disposed of, Black is wrought with panic and decides to teleport himself and Coldcast back to Metropolis as they still cling on to Superman not causing any destruction near civilians. Sure enough, the Man of Steel confronts them and shows them that the kid gloves are off. Superman, having conjunctivitis doesn't make you scary. I think you should see a doctor. The battle endangers several civilians, which as we all know is unlike Superman, and causes ridiculous amounts of property damage and quite literally slaps Black around a bit after carefully disabling his powers with his heat vision. The end of the battle draws near and looks as though Superman is about to execute Manchester Black in front of thousands of spectators before he revealed that in fact it was all just a ruse and that nobody was hurt, including Black's teammates. This deception was in order to show the elite and the rest of the public that killing is never the solution, which clearly worked as Black was shitting bricks when Superman let loose and had the cheek to call him a hypocrite. Before Black is whisked away to prison, Superman then finishes up by delivering an inspirational speech which in my opinion you need to savour in full.
You think that's it? It's not over, you punsy twit! If you think I'll just go to jail and rot, you're living in a dream world!
Good. Dreams save us. Dreams lift us up and transform us into something better. And on my soul, I swear that until my dream of a world where dignity, honor, and justice are the reality we all share, I'll never stop fighting. Ever.
That's the sound of a self-righteous Batman fanboy getting sick from hearing this speech.
It wasn't that bad.
So anyway, that was Superman versus the Elite. I feel it explores morality topics that are persistent in comics, such as the superhero moral code being a thing of the past and people being more interested in anti-heroes than a traditional hero. Sadly, I have these sorts of debates with many people, and their source of negativity towards heroism is usually aimed at Superman. This movie further served to remind me just why I appreciate the character of Superman. Writers have tried and spectacularly failed to bring him back down to earth and make him relatable, but these guys end up completely missing the point of the character. We're not supposed to relate to Superman. He inspires us. He gives us hope. He is someone we look up to.
Well, he does in my opinion, you pillock.
Anyway, I digress. Whatever your stance on Superman, this is a movie that is definitely worth watching. Thank you for watching this episode of You Have Issues. I'm Lord Jimsicle, and if you like this review and would like to see more, leave a comment down below on Facebook or on Twitter. Links are in the description below. Thank you very much. Take care.